Welcome to the Holidays to Switzerland podcast. If you're planning a trip to Switzerland, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Carolyn Schonefinger, the founder of holidaystoswitzerland.com. And in each episode, my expert guests and I share practical tips to help you plan your dream trip to Switzerland. You'll get helpful advice about travelling around Switzerland and hear about the most popular destinations, as well as some hidden gems. And we'll introduce you to plenty of wonderful experiences that you can enjoy as part of your Swiss vacation. Each episode is packed with expert tips, itinerary ideas, and inspiration to help make your Swiss vacation planning easy. So let's dive in. Grüezi, hello, and welcome to this week's episode. If your trip to Switzerland is fast approaching, you've probably put some thought into what you're going to take. Packing for Switzerland is one of the things that can create a headache or two, especially if you're visiting for the first time. No matter what time of year you visit, the weather conditions and temperatures can vary greatly between the lowlands and the mountains, so knowing exactly what to pack can be a little difficult. Today I'm going to simplify things and talk you through what to pack for Switzerland season by season, and what you can safely leave at home. But before we get started, let's talk about luggage, as it can have a big impact on how easy it is to get around Switzerland. Personally, I travel with a medium-sized hard shell suitcase that's on the spinner wheels. I like it because it's easy to maneuver and it's small enough for me to lift onto luggage racks on the trains and to carry up or down a couple of flights of stairs when I need to. I really encourage you to not bring a large suitcase for a number of reasons. Firstly, luggage storage space on trains is limited, and if there is space, you may find that you need to lift your suitcase up onto the top shelf. So being able to easily handle and lift your suitcase is a priority. And not all hotels or apartments have lifts, so you may need to carry your luggage up or down stairs. Plus, bringing a larger suitcase often means that you'll pack more than necessary, which just makes it difficult for yourself as your suitcase becomes heavier than it really needs to. For my personal items, I take a backpack which has a laptop pocket in it, and unfortunately I always need to take my laptop because I always do some work when I'm in Switzerland. And this backpack has a sleeve on the outside that allows me to slip it over the handle of my suitcase if I want to. And this is so handy, particularly if I'm waiting around at airports or at train stations and I don't want to have my backpack on my back. I can take it off, slip it over the handle of my suitcase, and I can even just push the suitcase along with the backpack attached to it. It makes it much easier. I also carry a small crossbody bag, which I use for everyday sightseeing. It's not big. It has room enough to fit in my wallet, my sunglasses, my phone, and maybe a brochure or two from a destination or an activity that I'm doing that day. So it's just the perfect size. I have everything close to my body, and it has straps that can't be slashed, which is another great feature. So now that you've got an idea of the size and type of luggage that I recommend you bring, let's move on to the important things, shoes and clothing. Now, shoes really are the most important item that you're going to pack for Switzerland. If you only bring one really good item, make sure it's comfortable, supportive walking shoes. I can guarantee that you'll walk more than you think, and you may often be walking on unpaved hiking trails or even cobblestone streets. So always pack something that's supportive and very comfortable. I always try and limit myself to 2 pairs of shoes. And this can be tricky. I know a lot of us ladies like to have plenty of choice, but really when you're traveling, 2 pairs should be adequate. Now, if you can have a pair of, let's call them multi-purpose shoes that can be worn for both hiking and for sightseeing, then you're on a winner because they double up, they've got dual purpose. And then you just need one other pair. If you're traveling in winter, boots are an ideal additional pair. And if it's in summer, well, sandals are great because both of those can be worn if you want to feel a little bit more dressed up. Now, when it comes to choosing shoes and which ones you're going to pack, please put comfort ahead of fashion. I know you probably don't want to hear that, but you'll thank me at the end of the day when you've done 10,000, 20,000 steps and you have no blisters. When it comes to clothes, the golden rule for Switzerland is layers, layers, layers. So no matter what time of year you travel, Switzerland is all about layers. The weather can change quickly, especially in the mountains, and the temperatures do vary with altitude. So if you're starting off in the valley in the morning, it might be quite warm. When you reach the mountain summit, the temperatures will definitely be cooler and you might need a jacket or even a coat. So if there's only one thing that you remember from this episode, it's to pack layers. Now, for those of you who are planning to visit in spring or autumn, the temperatures and the weather conditions can be quite unpredictable. So you'll want to pack a mix of lightweight layers, so both short and long sleeve t-shirts and light jumpers or even a fleece. You'll need a waterproof jacket or raincoat and warmer layers for those mountain excursions that you do. A scarf or a light hat to wear on cooler days is a great idea. And don't forget that some of the hiking trails may be muddy. So when you're thinking about packing those hiking boots or trail shoes, making sure they're waterproof is a good idea. As I said, layering is essential as the mornings and evenings can still be cool, but in the afternoon it may warm up significantly. And of course, rain is always possible. Now, during early autumn, from say early to mid-September, the weather can still be quite warm enough in some parts for shorts and t-shirts, especially if you're going to be in Ticino region. So you may want to pack a couple of more summery options in addition to those autumn and spring staples that I mentioned. For those of you who are visiting in summer, it's not just about hot weather packing. You're still going to need those layers, lightweight layers in this case. So t-shirts, maybe one or two long sleeve lightweight t-shirts, and even a light jumper. A light jacket or a windbreaker is handy for the evenings and those mountain trips. And quick dry clothing is always great for hiking and outdoor activities. Make sure you pack your swimwear for taking a dip in one of the lakes or the pool at your hotel or even relaxing spa visit. Sandals or casual shoes, as I mentioned, are a great second pair of footwear to take. And they're good if perhaps for going out for dinner or for a bit of sightseeing around the cities. Definitely take a sun hat or a cap because the sun can be very strong. And a light scarf is useful for sun protection and also for cooler evenings. Now, even in July, the temperatures can drop quickly at altitude, so be prepared, and that's why we always recommend taking those layers. But in general for summer, t-shirts, shorts and summer dresses are fine, but always have something warm at hand in case the weather changes or you get a cooler day or two. Winter requires a little bit more planning, and again, layers are key, but in this case, let's make them thermal layers because you really don't want to be cold. Thermal layers for tops and bottoms, sweaters and a fleece, essential. And probably the most important item is an insulated, windproof and waterproof jacket. I love ones that come below my bottom, as I think they just give you that little bit extra warmth, being a bit longer. But you can also obviously get coats that come down even past your knees if you want. So that's all a matter of preference. Waterproof pants or snow pants are not something that I would say are essential unless you're planning on spending a lot of time doing snow activities. But you will definitely need a warm hat, scarf, gloves or mittens, and if you're intending to ski, pack a balaclava. Wool or thermal socks are perfect for keeping your feet warm, And those boots or shoes that you pack need to be waterproof and have a good grip for snow and ice. Even walking on footpaths as you're going to the shops or along the streets, the footpaths or the pavements can be very slippery, especially if there's melting snow or ice. So having a good sturdy grip on your shoes or boots is essential. Now, you really don't need to take full ski gear unless you're going to be skiing. Normal, everyday and waterproof clothing is enough for general sightseeing. And the reason that layers are so important in winter is because it will be cold outside, but as soon as you go indoors, you'll want to be removing some of those layers because the hotels and shops and restaurants are very well heated. So being able to take off a layer or two when you go indoors will help you to remain much more comfortable. Now, back in episode 115, I covered a few essentials that you should take regardless of the season you travel. And in this episode, I chatted about things like a power adapter, charging cords, and your Wi-Fi connectivity, whether that be an eSIM or a pocket mobile. So you can go back and have a listen to that episode for more tips. But other things that you really should take regardless of the season that you're traveling in are sunglasses, sunscreen, and lip balm. The intensity of the sun at altitude can be really strong. And when you add that to the glare of the sun coming off the snow, even when you're visiting in summer, it can be extremely bright, and having sunglasses can really help protect your eyes. So what can you skip? Well, you don't really need to take any formal clothes, unless, of course, you're going for a formal event or function. You don't need excessive outfits. You don't need multiple bulky jackets. And you can definitely leave the high-heeled shoes at home. The Swiss style is practical and understated. Dressing up, sure, it's the norm if you're dining at a fancier restaurant in a city. But if you're in an area that's mainly frequented by lots of tourists, neat, casual attire is totally acceptable. So my final tips are to pack light. You really will need less than you think. If you're packing items that you can interchange, mix and match outfits, perhaps a couple of pairs of trousers or jeans or skirts, and multiple shirts that you can mix and match with those, that's going to be adequate. Moving around train stations and hotels is much easier with smaller and lighter luggage, so don't overpack. And you can buy almost anything at the stores in Switzerland. So pack smart, pack light, and pack for changeable weather. And you'll be comfortable no matter what the weather in Switzerland throws your way. I hope you found this episode helpful, and if you have, I'd love it if you could share it with a friend or family member or a colleague who's also planning a visit to Switzerland. And next week, I'll be back with more Swiss travel tips and inspiration. So until then, tschüss!